before I get Cole on here, by the way, our NFL Insider, we love it. Here, let me read you exactly what the Green Bay Packers have. And by the way, Rich McKay sent this to me. Just so you know, this is what the Packers say. Rule change. Green Bay amends. Rule 12, Section 1. I didn't know you talk like that in an NFL game. To prohibit an offensive player from pushing a teammate who is lined up directly behind the snapper and receives the snap immediately at the snap. I mean, this sounds like something one of those weirdo guys over in England, they call it football, but it's soccer. And those guys, how they talk, you know, when it's out of bounds, you get the ruck and you get the tush push. Come on, man, this is football. Let me get my boy in here. Jason Cole. Packers are crying about the tush push. Come on, Jace. It's a football play. What side of the aisle are you on?
On the side of allow the play. I will say this. There's something to be said for pushing a teammate downfield if you don't allow the hip drop. So if you're going to outlaw the hip drop, you have to. You can't allow pushing downfield. Okay, because that now all of a sudden we put the defensive player in danger, right? So yeah, that one I worry about more than the tush push. The tush push, I think, is just kind of like it's a fad. One team does it; they're good at it because they got a quarterback who's built for it. I mean, frankly, the players themselves kind of police it. You know, like Kelsey always said, "I hate this play," and there's only so far you can go with it. You know, from a standpoint of, are your own players, going to tolerate it?
So you think they amend it? You don't think they get rid of it? They amend it where you can't forward progress it with players behind. I'm going to ask Wanstead the question too at 5:30 Eastern time.
I think that you've got to. I don't know that at the line of scrimmage I'm worried about it as much as I'm worried about it downfield when you push a guy downfield, because that all of a sudden in an open field situation where you have a single tackler, or potentially only a single tackler, and he can't use a hip drop tackle, right? If you're saying to him, you can't tackle this way, but all of a sudden you've got maybe a 220-pound running back you're trying to get to the ground, or an A.J. Brown, bigger wide receiver, whatever it happens to be, and then all of a sudden you get a hustling tight end or a hustling offensive lineman, and here comes another 260, 280, 300-pound guy, pushing you back. Like it's now you're now endangering the defensive player. That's the one where I think there's concern. The line of scrimmage stuff, I got a hard time outlawing that. Like, I think that's hustle. But if you're saying take away the guy behind him pushing him, maybe, but it's still a goal line play. It's such a scrum of human beings. Like, how are you going to prevent like a guard from coming over and splattering into the if he gets pushed back, all of a sudden he's now pushing the guy forward. I mean, it's just I got a hard time with the line of scrimmage play changing what exists, because that is man-on-man football.
I know that the Kansas City Chiefs have won multiple Super Bowls in the last 6 years, but let me throw this at you here about the Eagles. I'm going to show you something here, Jace. Have they taken over as the best franchise in the NFL? They got the 32nd pick. You got a 2, 3, 4, and you got 4 5s this year. Next year, check this out. You got a 1, a 2, 3 3s with comp picks. You got 2 4s.
Well, you don't know about comp picks for next year yet. Or you're talking about this year?
I got them. Yeah, they're out.
The comp picks for this year, you're saying?
Next year, 26. They
don't know about the. They haven't declared the 20. When did they announce that? Was
they're getting a 3rd round for Milton Williams, will be a 3. The Reddick.
Well, no. Whoa. You don't know what you're going to get out.
You're going to get a 3rd for Milton.
Maybe, but remember the contract. No. But remember, you think it's not a 1-for-1. That's not how compensatory picks work. The way the compensatory picks is you take the total number of guys that you lose, and you then subtract away the total number of guys that you gain, and you figure out the difference, and you measure it over, how many players plus or minus you go, and then you start awarding picks after that. There's a whole big, large equation. It's not just Milton Williams gets you a third-round pick next year.
Oh,
okay, that's
I think he's going to, and I think
but I don't know what they've signed some guys in free agency. They've let some guys go, like Slay and Williams and guys like that. So I think they're going to get picks. I just wouldn't guarantee that they're going to get a third, because I'll say this: the NFL hides that. They hide that formula very carefully. Now, the team that's going to get a ton of compensatory picks next year is San Francisco. They're going to get a bunch of picks. But let's just say this: Philly's going to do better, and they're going to do fine because they manage their cap and they let guys go. But the real point is they're drafting well to begin with, so that the guys that they let go get signed by other teams.
Do you believe that they've taken over now as the best franchise in football?
I don't know if they're right up there. It's hard to argue with Kansas City, right? Like, Kansas City's results are what they are. So, and you measure this by Super Bowls, but yeah, the Eagles, they're in that discussion, and just being in that discussion of being the top, 1, 2, 3 teams in the league, whatever it happens to be, like, they're the envy of most of the rest of the league. Like, if you're Jerry Jones, you're looking at the Eagles going, God, I want to be like that, like that kind of.
How about this, Chase? Who do you think takes more of a step back this coming season? The Eagles have lost a shitload of guys. You think it's Kansas City, or do you think it's the Eagles? Because the Eagles have lost 5 starters on defense. Now, like you said, they've drafted well. Kansas City, I mean, if you're relying on Travis Kelce, I don't know. He hasn't.
But they're relying on Jonah Gray as he's gonna keep stepping forward as their primary tight end. They get Smith-Schuster. They get Brown healthy. They get Xavier. If Worthy continues to progress the way you think he's going to progress, where I think he looks like he's going to be a better version of Deshaun Jackson, more consistent version of Deshaun Jackson. Not quite as fast as Deshaun, but the same net effect. Like a healthy Brown, Smith-Schuster, Xavier Worthy, Gray steps forward. You keep Kelce around and keep him healthy for the playoffs. The big concern is what are they doing along the offensive line? Are they going to shore up their tackles enough? I know they got Jalen Moore, he's okay. I mean, I think he's a better right tackle than the kid they had last year, but they still haven't really solved left tackle. They had a rookie from last year that they were expecting was going to be able to step into the role. He wasn't able to do it, and then he got hurt. So they got some big questions on the offensive line that they have to solve. But Kansas City got to the Super Bowl with a really, really bad offensive line last year. Those guys, when they finally went up against a really great defensive line in the Super Bowl, they got overwhelmed. They were able to fake it. So I give Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes a lot of credit for overcoming what was a tragically bad offensive line. So I think they're going to be okay next year, and their defense is still young and upcoming.
And again, too, like you say, it just shows you the greatness of Mahomes with that crappy offensive line. Let me go around the NFL here a little bit. I'm starting to do this now. I'm watching Aaron Rodgers roll around the league now. It kind of reminds me of a Brett Favre, the way he handled his exits the last couple of years. It's like, it's drama that no one cares about anymore. I mean, it's like,
I'm tired of it.
I really am. I mean, like, does he even have, in your opinion, anything to offer a team right now? Could he help, say, a team like the Steelers? I mean, I agree with Cam.
They need him. They need better quarterback play. The question is he bought into wanting to do it? Like the thing that
then why do I want him if he's not bought into? If he's got to think
the guys with the Jets will tell you, like, he was good in the locker room, but again, he didn't show up for the entire off season. He tried to be part of the game in New York, but he just it doesn't come off as like, I'm completely sold out on I want to play football and make the most out of my last couple of years. It's everything has to be on Aaron's terms, and like, come on, dude, let's play football. You're going to realize 5 or 6 years from now that you just wasted wasted the last few years of your career because you were petty, because you were worried about who was controlling what and what was happening with your future and all this. Like, man, just play football. Buy into it. Be a good teammate. Be the guy that everybody's like excited to be around. And I think that there's some of that. I mean, I'm not sure that it is always playing that out that way in a locker room. I think guys are still enough into it that they accept him and they realize his talent. But the public perception is too much. I mean, look what Cam Hayward said this way. Like, he's just tired of it. Like, come on, man. Like, do you want to play or not? Don't make me beg to get you to come play for us.
Don't alienate me before you get in the building.
Yeah, like, be enthusiastic. Like, come in and say, hey, I'm here. Now, I understand you're waiting on the Vikings. Okay, you're waiting on the Vikings to make their decision. They made a decision. Let's go now. Stop waiting for people to, you're 41 years old. You've had a bad last couple of years. One of them was injury. That's not your fault. That happens. But, this last year was tragic. It's not all your fault. The owner was bad with the Jets. But you're just kind of dicking around, not taking care of your career. Like, let's play.
Xander, I don't know if you still have that chart. I wanted to show Jason about the Cowboys. I could not.
What do you want to show me about the Cowboys?
There's a chart. I don't know if Xander still has this chart, but I want to show you this, Jason. You're going to shit when you see this, and I know you know this. NFC Championship droughts. Look at who the New Orleans Saints, the Atlanta Falcons, the Arizona Cardinals, the Seahawks, the pathetic Bears have had more success in the last.
Send me that? Can you email me this chart?
I will. Listen, look at this.
Email me this chart, because I've got a friend of mine who's a serious Cowboys fan. I'm just going to roast him with this. This is not even like Super Bowl, like,
you know what Xander says? Xander goes like this. He goes, "It's now become not even fun to rip the Cowboys anymore."
Oh no, it's all Xander's wrong. Xander's so wrong, man. No. Hey, you will beat that dead horse until it's.
I know you call him the P.T. Barnum, Jerry Jones, but when you see that, doesn't that emphatically tell you this guy is not a football guy?
I never said he was a football guy.
Would you make the argument he's the worst GM in NFL history?
Well, yeah, because this guy would have been fired long ago.
Yeah.
If he was the owner, he would have fired the guy a long time ago. But he owns the team, so he gets to do what he wants.
He's the worst GM.
I understand that. I'm not just
football history.
Okay.
Wow. And what I'm and I get it. I mean, I just saw the Celtics sold for $6.1 billion, and I get what it's about.
If the Celtics are worth $6.1 billion,
they're worth 15. They're worth $15 billion.
Like, what I mean, like, he just keeps sitting there going, the price is going up, pal. The only thing the only thing about that price is you only wonder, like, what's it going to be worth when the internet companies buy out all the television companies and television completely goes away. Like, it's going to take 20 years, but when television is completely dead and we've gone completely to streaming, it will die. It will die. It just has to. It's sort of like newspapers,
Yep.
Radio has died.
Yep.
Newspapers have died. Newspapers died.
Yep.
Television's going to die.
Yep.
Everything is going to go this direction.
Like, the NFL doesn't get into crap unless they know what the future is. They know where it's going.
Right. They're heavily invested in what's going to happen, and with these streaming services and controlling what is the price that they're going to get for the streaming services. And the streaming services are right now competing with the television networks, but it's a competition in name only, because at some point in time, if you're one of these trillion-dollar companies, and this is what people really don't understand, when you take the Netflix, the Amazons, Apple, anybody who controls streaming, Google, those companies are worth trillions with a T. Okay, they're worth a combined, I don't know, $5 trillion, whatever they are. Okay, the networks like ESPN, ABC, NBC are worth hundreds of billions. Okay. But billions is a whole lot different than trillions. It's like when people talk about the national debt getting paid off, and this is not political. I'm just saying, like when people say, look at the Doge, they've saved $100 billion. That's a great thing. Absolutely a great thing. But do you realize it's not even a monthly payment on our national debt? It's not even the equivalent of a monthly payment. That's how far in debt we are. Well, the same equation applies to streaming services and television networks. The television networks are going to get bought out someday by the streamers, and that's the way it's going to go.
I want to ask you about Micah Parsons.
Okay.
So you saw what the market was set with $40 million with Myles Garrett. I keep hearing, John McMullen, who is on our network, and he covers the Eagles. He does a great job for us. I mean, he calls them generational. I played in the era of generational edge rushers with Derek Thomas and Lawrence Taylor and guys like that. When I look at him and I see a guy who's played on a defense that was 30th against the run, had no impact whatsoever on a defense. Like Myles Garrett, at least 2 years ago, was on the number one defense in the NFL. He helped and was an impact player in making that a number one defense.
Well, I mean, when you look at Myles Garrett is a big, strong guy who can hold up the point. And
how do you look at Micah? You think he's a generational player?
No, he's not a generational player, but I think he's a damn good one, and you can't find those guys. He's just a rare commodity. So he's going to get $40 million a year. Now, but that's because he's the one who's waited.
And is that because the edge position is a high? Obviously, look at the money that's being paid at the edge.
Right. Well, I mean, the other thing is, and people don't get this, the growth in the cap is really, it's growing in bigger chunks now because the percentages demand it. When you have a 9% growth in a cap when it's $80 million, that's $8 million, okay? When you have a 9% growth in a cap when it's $250 million, that's 20-something million, right? There's a difference there. So that's why you're getting the percentage growth of the cap has not changed that much, but the actual chunks that it's actually worth
18% it goes up, but you're saying that number is bigger because of the amount of revenue that they have.
Well, I mean, it's just the law of large numbers. Like when 9% of $20 million is $1.8 million, 9% of $200 million is $18 million. So it's just a big number. That's why, you should always teach your kids. So here's a lesson for you parents out there. Teach your kids about compounded interest. It's a really important thing. It's a really, really important thing. Yeah, compounded interest is where you make big ass money.
I thought back when I signed my contract back in the day, I was like, wow, I signed for $2 million. Holy cow, that's really great. I forgot about the income tax. I forgot about the state tax. I forgot about everything. Little did I realize I came back with $2.48 after all that. So, hey, what the hell?
Well, yeah, but that was because you bought bar tabs for all your boys from the U.
Yeah, well, it was not just bar tabs. It was also something to do with dances. I'll leave that for another day.
Yeah, well, that goes part and parcel with the U. Okay?
I have to ask you this because you are a Hall of Fame voter, one of the top 50 guys that votes here for this. Brandon Graham just called it a career. 15 years, 2 Super Bowls, Pro Bowl. Had without a doubt, one of the most important plays in Eagle history when he had the strip sack in the Super Bowl when they won it in 2017. Had 76 and a half sacks in the regular season, over 80 as an edge rusher.
Yeah.
Just a 35,000 view foot look at him. I said he wasn't a Hall of Fame player. I think he's a Hall of Fame man, and I think he had a Hall of Fame impact on the Eagles. No disrespect. Where do you see Brandon Graham right now? If you were looking at him and looking at some of the again, you haven't done a lot of research on it. Obviously, he's not on board for a while, but just a takeaway.
Probably a no. I don't want to say that completely. And again, it depends on who's in the group.
But here, remember this too. I brought these guys up. I go, I mean, here's guys that aren't in. Leslie O'Neal has 132 and a half sacks. He's not in. I mean, you go down to Dexter Manley's got 2 Super Bowls. He's got 104. You got Neil Smith, who's got 6 Pro Bowls, and he has over 117 sacks. I mean, there's numerous guys.
Here's your other answer. He's got 1 season with double-digit sacks. Everything else, and that's not, sacks are not everything, but they're a big thing. And so you're getting to that point. You're making that point already. Well, there's just not a lot of single standout seasons where you say this is one of the best players in the league, one of the 2 or 3 best edge rushers in the league. There is a lot to be said for 15 years, and there's a lot of respect paid for 15 years in the league. Absolutely, that deserves a lot, a lot of consideration. But you do have to have certain numbers that go with it. And you have to have a certain level of dominance. And I think that Brandon Graham was always a great complementary player. He was never the guy who stirred the drink. The guy who stirred the drink was either Fletcher Cox or last year Jalen Carter. That was the guy. Now, when you had a line like in Philadelphia when they had Clyde Simmons and Reggie White and Jerome Brown, now, Jerome Brown, rest in peace, if he had ever played long enough, would have been a Hall of Famer, right? That there's no doubt in my mind that Jerome would have gotten there. And, you had a Pittsburgh line when it had, Mean Joe and Dwight White.
LC.
And LC, only Mean Joe's the only one who's in there. LC was probably a better player than Brandon Graham,
Oh, yeah.
Zero. So I think
so was Clyde Simmons a better player.
Right. So I have a hard time putting in, Brandon Graham over that, but I have an incredible amount of respect for the guy's career. And he was there in big moments. Those moments are not as big as like Lynn Swann is a moments guy. He's not a numbers guy. Even in his era, he was not a numbers guy. But he was a big moments guy, and he's got multiple ones. So Graham doesn't quite have that. So I would say it would take a lot. Like I'm much more like if you're gonna be pushing for Eagles coming out of this era,
Fletcher,
you're gonna say Kelsey and Fletcher, Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelsey. You're gonna then, depending on Jalen Carter's career, depending on how it goes, there's a lot to play out for Jalen Carter. That's another guy in there that you're going to say, okay, is that guy going to end up being that guy?
Lane Johnson,
certainly. That's going to be a guy. You're somewhere down the line is one of the wide receivers going to put up the kind of numbers that you need. The running back, certainly with a 2,000-yard season, has basically taken all those Giants years and kind of washed them away with that 2,000 yard year. Sort of like, when O.J. Simpson early in his career struggled with Buffalo, and then all of a sudden for about 4 straight years, O.J. Simpson was the dominant running back in the league. Earl Campbell, same thing, for about 4 or 5 straight years, dominant running back. That's what he became. If Saquon does that, you're looking at, is this a Hall of Fame?
Saquon has a shot, even though the 5 years in New York were wasted?
Yeah, he has a shot. He can. I think he can, because that guy's still in really great shape. I mean, we'll see how these, But when you put up a 2,000-yard year,
because I've been saying no because of what happened in New York.
Well, it's no now. It's no today. I'm just saying, like, all of a sudden, it's like, okay, we saw what he really can be.
Like, if he follows up with an 1,800-yard year this year, then we're starting to get back in the conversation.
Yeah, we're starting. Yeah, and then okay, how does the next 4 years go? And, can he get through 4 years? But how does the next 4 years go? Do we all of a sudden say, okay, yeah, he wasted his career with the Giants on a bad team. He got to a good team, and all of a sudden we saw what he was. Like that could happen. But to take it back to your original point, your original question about Brandon Graham, I don't see it. I mean, I never say no, absolutely. But the way the format works right now, and I don't think this format's going to continue very long, but the way the format's working right now, it would be really hard to get a guy like Brandon Graham.
You know who I compared Brandon to? I compared him to a guy. I'm sure people in here don't know who he is, and I know you do. My friend Keena Turner. People don't realize Keena Turner had 4 Super Bowl. He's one of the only. People don't realize this. During that era, there's only like 5 guys that have 4 rings that played during that 49er dynasty because they had so many great players. Most of them have won 3, but there's very few that have 4 of them, and Keena's one of them. Keena had 20 sacks, something like that, back in the era where they didn't really throw the ball a ton, but he was such a great football player, and he's a community guy. Everywhere you walk in San Francisco, if Keena Turner's walking down the street, everyone knows that that's Keena Turner. Like, he may not be synonymous in Pittsburgh or anywhere else, but you know who that guy is. When I worked in San Fran and I lived in San Francisco, I knew who Keena Turner was. I mean, I knew when he played. I mean, I throw another guy.
He's an electric guy who is a lifer, who's part of the organization. I would assume Brand's going to do the same thing. Who, they're synonymous with a great era, a coming of age of that team, and that's fantastic. That's worth its weight in gold. I mean, Brandon Graham should never have to ever buy a drink in Philadelphia ever again. Never, ever, ever. I don't know if the man drinks or not, but he should never have to buy a drink, and he probably shouldn't have to buy too many meals, right? Like, that's how he should be treated. Wherever he goes, it's like, hey, Brandon, good to see you. Whatever you need, right? Like, that's how he should be treated. But there's a difference between that and a Hall of Fame.
And again,
that's all. He's a Hall of Fame human.
No disrespect, because there's only 300 plus guys that are in that thing. I mean, if you could keep Wilbur Marshall out, and Wilbur Marshall's probably right there as well. Wilbur's got 2 Super Bowl rings, and you want to talk about an intimidating hitter, and you want to talk about one of the guys when you look at played on one of the greatest defenses of all time and synonymous on that defense. I'll tell you what, maybe I'm more blown away about him because he's from Titusville, and I know him, and we played against him in college. Let me give you a story real quick here, Jace. So it was my
Otis, my man.
I think it was my sophomore year. We go up to Gainesville, and Lonzo Highsmith, we're on the field. I think they beat the pants off us up there 28-3. We won the national title that year anyway. We went on and won 11 in a row. We beat Nebraska 31-30 in the Orange Bowl anyway. So we get up there. They're kicking the shit out of us. Only game I've ever been involved in where they beat the piss out of us. That was when Charlie Pell had all those guys. They were paying everybody, all them great players up there. It's all good. I'm not. Yeah, but I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything.
They had a bigger payroll. Is that what you're telling me?
I don't know. All I know is all I know is this: he hit Highsmith so hard, and I saw him go like this. And he goes walking off the field. I go like this to Highsmith. I go, "What did Wilbur tell you?" Because remember, it was him and LT that came out. Like they were like the stars. And I go, What did Wilbur tell you? He goes, he told me he's going to kill me. And I said, what'd you say to him? He goes, I told him I believed him.
Alonzo is not a small man.
No, Alonzo's one of the toughest men I've ever known. My brother, I love him so much. He's now
Alonzo's all man.
Hey, he's a senior executive now with Elliott Wolf up in New England. And I'm like, yeah, I go, what'd he tell you? Because everyone watches. Everyone was in awe of Wilbur. He scored 28 points a game in high school and shit in high basketball. He was some freak athlete. And he comes walking off. And, man, he just goes, yeah, told me he's going to kill me. I go, what? Really? What'd you say? He goes, I told him, hey, man, I understand. I believe you.
You're going to kill me. You always know when athletes are at a different level. And I noticed this again last year when other athletes like come to the sideline to watch them, or they come, like they perk up when a guy's in the game or something like that. And I saw that most recently, the kid Mason Miller who plays for the Oakland A's.
Yeah.
So the first part of last season when he's throwing 100, 102 and just, he's mowing down the Yankees. He's going through everybody. I flip on a game and they show him from the third base side because he's a right-hander and the visitors are in the other dugout. Every one of those dudes is on the top step of the dugout. They're all like hanging there just watching Mason Miller throw because he's a dude, man. Like this is gas. Like he's just throwing fire up there. So, and that happens in football. Like you get a guy out on the, you get some guy who's got like 4.2 speed, and it's like, oh, let's see what that really is, man.
Hey, Jace, I played against Mike Munchak when he was with the Oilers, and this guy's holding like he just ripped. I thought he was going to rip the front of my jersey off, right? Because his hand ripped. I go to the ref. He's standing right next to me. I go, the guy's going to undress me. And here's Mike Munchak. Hey, I'm sorry for kicking your ass all up and down the field, but hey, I'll try to be friendlier. I looked over, the ref was laughing at me. And I'm going like, and I looked over at Mike. We became great friends after that, man. But he goes, hey, wait, I'll stop kicking his ass up and down the field so it'll make him feel better. I looked over, I said, fuck you, man. Man. People don't know the shit that's talked out there, man. It's funny stuff sometimes.
Oh, it's great stuff. I mean, like, I love the stories about guys like Siragusa and Sam Adams, Goose and Sam Adams on that Baltimore team back in, 2000, when they won the championship. Oh God. Like those are some classic stories, man, about just like, and then the meeting, like even, it's not even the on the field stuff. It's the meeting room stuff when guys are like, Sam's getting into somebody's crap and the guy's trying to ignore him and Sam's getting mad and then somebody else fires off and, what was it? Rob Burnett told me, we had to lock the door. We couldn't let Marvin Lewis in. He was the defensive line coach. He goes, because we had to settle some stuff in the room right there. And they're like breaking drywall and like it's just like
every time Ray Lewis would line up over Jeff Saturday, he goes like this: "You ain't paying rent this week. You ain't paying rent this week. You ain't paying rent this week. I'm owning you. You ain't paying rent." He's screaming that at him. And Jeff Saturday.
Yeah, but it's like, come on, man. You got two defensive tackles I got to deal with. I don't get a chance to block you, Ray. Come on.
You ain't paying rent yet. Jason, let me let you go, brother. Love you, man.
Dude.
Thank you so much, man.
Anytime.
You got it. Our friend Jason Cole, man. I appreciate that very much. Dave Wonstat's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. I see you guys talking wrestling. I want to show you something. I think you're going to dig this here. So you guys like wrestling, right? Okay. Let me see here. Let me show you this. So check this out. This is Big Sills. And I got some wrestling stuff here for you. Here's my championship belt. Right there. Look at that bad puppy. European Junior Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. Here, watch this. There's Big Sills. Hello. Look at that guy. Look at that monster. King Kong Bundy. Look at him. Look at that. 335 pounds. The bone crusher. Hold on here. I got another one. Here's my contract. I have to post this shit. Here's my ranking. I want to show you this now. Here. So here's the rankings. That's Road Warrior Hawk. God rest his soul. God, I loved him. And here's the rankings. This is the rankings for the top wrestlers in Europe. Number 1, Road Warrior Hawk. Number 2, Rambo. Number 3, Ken Patera. Number 4, Jim Neidhart. Number 5, Haystacks Calhoun. Number 6, Bruiser Masaccio. Number 7, Warlord. Number 8, Bone Crusher Sileo. This is the top rankings in Europe. Right there. I got to post these. Big Sills, one of the top 10 wrestlers in all of Europe. What are you going to do when Big Sills runs wild on you? How you doing? Look at that. Rankings. I'm going to post this and my contract. Yes, sir. Top 10 wrestler in Europe. I wrestled in Austria, Vienna, Bonn, Berlin, Paris, all over Europe. I wrestled. I lived in Europe for a year and a half with the great Otto Wantz, who owns CWA. I got my gear going on again. This is Old Sild Wrestling. Here, I think I got a couple pictures of me in the ring, too. Here's another picture of Big Sills. Whoa! That's a 650-pound bench presser there. Hold on here. Big Sills in the... Look at the bone crusher. Look at that, man. That's 335 pounds, 605 bench, 880 squat. Look at that. Off the top rope, too, bitch. Yeah, here you go. There's Big Sills there in the ring in Vienna. I'm in a suit, too. You had to wear a suit. These people are treated like gods in Europe. I'm not kidding. Treated like gods over there. Yeah. Here. Big Sills in the ring, wrestling. That's in Berlin. You know where that is? That's where they held the Olympic Games. In that arena, they had the arena right in the place where they held the 36 games. I'm wrestling in this joint. I look up and I go, holy shit, there's the platform. Yes, sir. Jesse Owens looked up. Gabe put his hand over his heart. I'm standing right there on it. I know I've had some psychotic life. How you doing? Big Sills off the top rope. Dave Wannstedt's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. The Bone Crusher. I wrestled in the Tokyo Dome. Yeah, Antonio Inoki. Some of you guys might ever know. Big Sills knows Goldberg. We played football against one another in the World League. He was a Georgia Bulldog, played for the Rams. Hey, Big Van Vader's my boy. Holy cow. Vader helped me in Japan. Yes, I wrestled at the Tokyo Dome. How you doing? I looked around. There's Antonio Inoki. He wrestled Ali. Yes, I've had an interesting life, to say the least. What was your finishing? The power bomb. Vader, Leon White, one of my favorite people on the planet. What a great guy. He played for the Rams, and believe it or not, Big Van Vader, he played at Colorado. He went to school. He played in the old Big 8. And he went to school at Colorado. And then, of course, and by the way, we had 3 Hurricanes turn into wrestlers. Lex Luger, who's Larry Fole, and Rock and Big Sills were all 3 wrestlers that ended up winning championships. I had the junior heavyweight European Wrestling Championship for about a week. And then they gave it to some sort of Austrian guy. I couldn't stand him. I hated him. I punched him in the head after. And then I went to Japan and wrestled that. That's what I'm going to do. When I see M. Reyes, I'm going to put him in a headlock. Right there, Reyes. I'm going to break it out again, and I'm going to put you in a headlock. And we're going to find out what kind of bullshit you're going to talk when Big Sills puts you in a headlock. Are you kidding me? M. Reyes, I can't even jump over a stack of pennies now. How you doing? Sills, what do you think of Ohtani against the Cubs in Tokyo? Ohtani's the best baseball player I've ever seen. Just the best baseball player. I mean, that includes Barry Bonds, and that includes Ricky Henderson. Absolutely insane. M. Reyes, I'm coming for you. Gonna get them all up there, babe. Oh, man. Hey, he's a really great wrestler. Okay. I see him from time to time. Yeah, Ken Patera was my guy, though. And so was superstar Billy Graham. Billy Graham just died a couple years ago. He lived in Phoenix. I love that dude. The wrestling guys, I ranked them. My top 3 dudes. Roman Reigns, who follows me on Twitter, loves me. I love him, too. I should try to get him on. Corey Rhodes, Dusty's kid, I think. And Kevin Owens. I don't know. Reigns is the best. He's the best right now. Yeah, but this guy, Ron Simmons, get this, Tim. Ron Simmons was my first, before Leroy Selman, was my first college football hero. When I heard he benched 500 pounds and he played nose guard at Florida State, I'd never heard of Florida State. I mean, living in Connecticut, I never heard of Florida State. I didn't know anything about South Florida football, like Florida, Miami, Florida State. I had no idea about any of that down there. My shit was all Penn State, Notre Dame, Maryland, Boston College, places where I'm from. Sorry, no Temple. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I didn't, but Ron was the first guy. If I'm not mistaken, he's one of the very few guys that had his jersey retired, number 50. I wanted to be him. I ended up bettering him, though. Okay. Hey, Dusty was great, but a guy by the name of Cowboy Bob Orton, he was the guy, along with Ole Anderson, trained me at the Powerhouse in Atlanta. I was a WCW guy. My wife will tell you, get this, they signed me right out of football. I heard John McMullen talk, a lot of football guys, they recruited us. So Cowboy Bob Orton and Ole Anderson came to me, and they go like this: "Hey, you want to wrestle?" I go, "Well," he goes, "We know you had amateur wrestling," and I was really great at it. I told you before, I was recruited by Iowa. That doesn't mean I was going to be the top heavyweight wrestler, but I went to WCW. They gave me $4,000 a week to train in Atlanta, and I did it for about 4 months. Then I wrestled in Athens. I wrestled a couple times in Atlanta. Then they sent me over to WCW with Otto Wantz in Europe. And I wrestled in Europe for a whole year. Then I went to Japan. My grandfather was the one who got me out of it. I'll tell you what, John McMullen said something, and it's true. I have never been more beat up in my life wrestling than when I played my 20-some-odd years in football. Okay? I have never in my life been so beat up. I think where I'm at now, where I, kind of got some pains now, I think that has a lot to do with the wrestling. Man, it was the toughest shit I ever did. I mean, those ropes, coming off the ropes, doing those bumps, doing all the sequences, it ain't easy. I've never done anything harder in my life than wrestling. Hey, when people go like this, it's fake. Well, I don't know about fake. Maybe the whole setup is, but hitting them bumps, that ain't fake. I have never in my life been more injured, okay, than wrestling. Football, I wasn't hurt that much. Wrestling, that shit hurt. JBL, best wrestler ever. No debate. The best wrestler of all time, in my opinion, who could do it all. I think it's Hart. Bret Hart was exceptional. Did all the bumps. Okay. I would say, dude, he was really great, Bret Hart. Who's the crazy guy? Rowdy Piper was the best showman of all time. Rowdy was so good, taught me so much on presentation. God, the guy who took the best bumps, Cactus Jack. I'm surprised he's still alive. I can't believe Cactus Jack is still alive. Dude, that guy did so many insane bumps that even Vince McMahon, he used to gag on his bumps. He'd jump off the top of the steel cage from the top of the arena. I can't believe that guy's still alive. Mick Foley was insane in his bumps. Bret Hart was great. Hogan was a great showman. Rowdy Piper was a way better showman than he was. So many good ones. Jake the Snake, we've had on the program here. Jake's a friend of mine. We've had Jake on, Xander, a couple times, 2-3 times? We've had Jake on. Just great. All right. Dave Wonstat's going to join us at the bottom of the hour here. Don't forget our great friends at Morgan & Morgan. Tell you this all the time, folks. If you guys are looking or if you've ever been hurt, this is your place to go. The #1 injury law firm in America is Morgan & Morgan. $20 billion is their resume when it comes to getting rewarded for making sure insurance companies don't take advantage of you. That's what they recover for families across America with their thousands of attorneys from coast to coast. Right here in PA, client telling you about $650K initially that an insurance company wanted to offer a family. No way. They got $26 million for that family. Or a family down in Florida. Talking about a family that was offered $350K. No way, man. They went in Morgan & Morgan and got $12 million in recovery for that respected family. That's what we're talking about here. If you're ever injured, please use my friends Morgan & Morgan. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/Big Sills or pound law 529. That's FOR, thepeople.com/Big Sills or pound law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sills sent you.
This is Eric. When he